I think the legacy would be the satisfaction of a job well done, of having served an incredible number of students, of kids, and having them come back and either come back as alums that want to work in the school or bring their children or even their grandchildren back to school with us. I think that's part of the unique legacy of seeing the impact that we can have. What we've done is we've tried to professionalize the organization both for the family members as well as for the non-family members. I mean, and it's been a combination of, I guess, it's in a sense, a labor of love, in a sense of a labor of supporting both the family members and the other key people that are not family members to grow, to develop, but to hold them to a professional standard, as well as to give them that extra support that they probably need.
I'm Alex Mendez. If you're part of a family business, this episode will speak to your heart. In this conversation, I sat down with Ken Peterson, second generation of family behind Peterson Schools, a remarkable education legacy celebrating 60 years of shaping minds and values in Mexico. What happened with two visionary founders, Karen's parents, became one of the country's most respected educational communities, building just not academics, but on purpose, compassion, and family unity. Ken shares how his family has navigated 6 decades of evolution, how they preserve their parents' values while professionalizing leadership, how they introduce independent board members to bring perspective and structure, and how they are preparing the third generation to continue the mission of educating with heart in a world transformed by technology and AI. This episode is about much more than education. It's about the power of governance, succession, and purpose to sustain a family legacy across generations. Ken's words remind us that families in business aren't just building companies, they're building communities, and sometimes they're building nations. Join me in this conversation with Ken Peterson, a story about teaching, learning, and leading with values that stands the test of time. So, welcome to the show, Ken Peterson. How are you today?
Fine, very happy to be here and be joining you on the show, Alex, and having the opportunity to talk to you and to your audience.
Well, Ken is second generation of these dynasty of the Peterson. They live in Mexico City and they have schools all around the city. And the story began 60 years ago this year with his parents founded the school. And Ken, your family story began with a vision of educating, not just to run a school, but what was the deeper why behind the creation of the Peterson Schools?
Correct. Both of my parents are educators. My father has his doctorate from Stanford in education. My mom is a certified teacher and Montessori guide. And they were living in the States and they wanted to do something here in Mexico. My mother's from Mexico. My dad is from Minnesota. And they wanted to do something different and something innovative to really attend families in Mexico. And so they came down and they started off in what is now our preschool. And we actually lived in the building. It was my mom's childhood home, and we lived on the upper floor, and the preschool started on the lower floor. And my sister and I were the first students there. So I was 3 years old when I started in school. So I can say I've been in the business since I was 3 years old.
So you've lived the heritage of your family since scratch.
Correct. Yeah, I had an opportunity to see it grow from the very, very beginning. So yeah, it was almost like another sibling as to growing up with the school, as they, in a sense, as they complementing, in a sense, also competing a bit with the attention of my parents, for my sister, and for myself.
So in that sense, in many family enterprises, the founder values become the DNA of the business. What values did your parents embedded that still define Peterson's today?
Correct. It was always very much an attention on the child, as to putting the child first, as to before anything else, being able to give our community and our students the best service possible, the highest quality of education possible. And many times I had the chance to experience where maybe there was a difference between what a teacher was doing or should be doing with a child and what the children's needs were. The priorities was always the children. I remember one occasion my dad has shared with us where one of his teachers said that a student in a math class was called her a fat, ugly cow, and the stupid student. My dad fired the teacher and helped the student, and that student became one of the top math students at a school that she moved on to after she left our schools for high school.
So you had children that have gone to the school and eventually become teachers or parents of kids in your school along the 60 years of the school?
Correct. Yeah. Just this year, we have 4 of our ex-students enter to help us with teaching. So
Wow.
4 of our alumni came back and came into jobs, everything from teacher assistants to a school psychologist. So we're very proud to have that continuation with our community.
And looking back, what moments made you realize that the family legacy was worth preserving even beyond the business itself?
Um, well, I was actually, my initial track wasn't to enter the school. I think I grew up seeing maybe some of the downsides of the family business, so to speak, and the challenges and everything. And so my initial idea wasn't enter the school. I actually studied civil engineering and then went on and got an MBA after that. But the school entered a crisis in 1989 where it was either invest significantly in a new campus for the school or close down the school. And both my sister and myself committed to continue my parents' legacy. And so that's when, I really said it's really worth it. I reflected and I entered. My sister was already there, but I entered the school at that time and was able to continue. And I've been here very happily ever since.
So, but running a family business in education must bring unique dynamics, love, passion, and sometimes disagreements. What's been the hardest conversation you've ever had as a family about the future of the schools?
I think some of more difficult conversations had to do with strategies for the future about where to grow, where to invest, and what to do and stuff. And I think there's been in the past some disagreements there, and we've things that we've managed to work through eventually. But yeah, I mean sometimes the difference of vision of where you want to expand, what you want to do, what new services or areas you want to expand in the school, and so those have been some of the more difficult conversations.
I'm talking to consideration in terms of leadership. How many siblings are you in your generation?
Correct. I mean, so it's the three of us. I'm the oldest. Then my sister Nancy is 2.5 years younger, and my brother Eric is 8 years younger than us. He does not work in the school, but he helps us on the board. And both my sister and I are really occupy the top two positions in the school. I'm the director general, and she's the chief academic officer for the school.
So, how did your generation define leadership and professionalization the organization without losing family's essence?
Um, what we've done is we've tried to professionalize the organization both for the family members as well as for the non-family members. I mean, and it's been a combination of uh, I guess it's in the sense of labor of love, in the sense of a labor of supporting both the family members and the other key people that are not family members to grow and to develop, but to hold them to a professional standard as well as to give them that extra support that they probably need.
And what was those key moments that the, make you make a decision? Say we have to make things different, have new rules, how
Mhm.
to make decisions between siblings. Because at that time in the 80s, your parent was still involved in the school or not.
Sure. No, in the '80s, it was very much around the kitchen table kind of management. I mean, with the family, with my parents and stuff. And I think one of the things that really helped us was one of the things that when I came in and really took over the school was to look for strong U.S. accreditation. And we were the first school in Mexico to have a accreditation by the group of premier private or independent schools in the states. And so a lot of the requirements they had to do with governance, had to do with boards, had to do with the whole structure of the school and decision making processes. And so a lot of it that helped us push the professionalization of our institution and grow in that direction. So taking on some of the best practices in the sector and implementing them within our schools and stuff. I think that was a lot of the challenges there.
So when did you decided to put some structures and some governance into the school with new rules?
Correct. So we created a board. My father was the chairman of the board at first, and it was more at the beginning more of a board of friends, a board of people that he trusted a lot and stuff. And we started that way, and then it was a matter of going and transitioning, making it more and more a professional board. I think a big change was when we had the first non-family board member chair. Well, the first chair of the board was a non-family member, and that was a big step up in making the school more professional. And we're now on our second external board chair, a person that you know very well is the Jose Harp has also been a
Okay.
magnificent board chair. So yeah,
Has it
but
ha-
having that support and that those independent board members has been key for our institution.
has it helped you make or tackle the tough decisions in terms of education and the future of the business having independent board members?
I think it does because they bring in an outside point of view. Some of them are parents or former parents, and some of them are just independent people that we feel are very valuable. But yeah, they do reflect an outsider's point of view, and it makes us on the one hand be more thorough in our own internal decisions and preparing information to share with them. But on the other hand, it also they have an outsider's point of view, which can be very valuable.
So, what other structures or habits have helped your family stay aligned, especially as the family grows into the Cousins Consortium? Because I believe so that some of your kids are already working in the school.
Correct. I mean, I have three daughters, um, two of which are have worked in the school. It's my oldest two have worked in the school. Mercedes was our started as a teacher and ended up being our middle school principal. L'Oreal was our director of communications and marketing, and they both went off to get masters. And Mercedes will be coming back in January, and L'Oreal hopefully will be coming back in a year or so after she gets some more outside experience. But so they're both very involved. But really getting back to your question, how have we handled the issues? I think a key learning for us was we had for a while one of our campuses, some partners in our school in Tlalpan, and that family had older siblings and stuff, had older children, and so the relationship with them gave us a good taste of what it would like to have like a cousins consortium, know what it would be like to be dealing with older family members, second generation, third generation, and it gave us a taste. I mean, we no longer have that partnership with them. We dissolved it since it's the mutual convenience, but it did give us that feeling, no, and it helped us prevent problems or foresee problems that could happen as our kids get older.
How did your family tackle the COVID in the early of this century?
That was I guess you could say, it was a bit of a traumatic event in the sense that the school, we left for a long weekend, a holiday, and we didn't come back for a year and a half on site. I mean, some of us did come in, obviously, the installations, but with kids, they're out for a year and a half. And so that was having to switch over to online. But fortunately, we're very innovative. We had a very strong platform with Google. We're the first Google reference school in Latin America. And so we had a very strong base. And so we were able to cope with that very well. But yeah, it was a challenge. And it was a lot of online meetings and working virtually. So.
And surviving sometimes. What were the key learnings that your family had in that moment that the school had to close and then go online, which is not an easy task to tackle?
Well, it worked much better for the older students, for the middle school and high school students, and the one that was the biggest challenge for the preschoolers and the lower elementary kids because they had a really hard time working online. I mean, but a lot of it was have that personal attention to care. For example, the really young people, the kids, we would send kids to their houses with material for the kids to work on and some furniture and everything for them actually practice and stuff. And so the families really appreciated that kind of support.
And since you're an English spoken school that teaches Spanish and English, have you ever thought as a family to go outside of Mexico to open campuses or outside of Mexico itself, the city, to expand yourselves with the model you have developed over 60 years?
We have looked at that. And we have explored some sites very closely and stuff, and unfortunately, it didn't work out with the parameters we needed to make them work. So far, we stayed in Mexico City, but we're open to that expansion for down the road.
So, talking about a little bit about values, what are those key values that have been inherited by your parents and then passed from yourself and your siblings over to the kids?
Well, once again, I'd say it would be really putting our students and our children at the school first, really giving them that attention, giving the families that I think we have a very strong community. I mean, we're very much a community-focused school and supporting the extended community, working closely with parents. Part of our structures, not only do we have the strong board, but we also have a lot of very good board committees, very active committees in which we invite parents that are experts in their areas. It might be marketing, communication, it might be construction, it might be finance and stuff, and we work closely with them as volunteers, basically, that help us to support the school and stuff. And so I think sort of that family kind of environment, or that feeling where they all feel part of this greater community, has been very key for our success.
How have your siblings and yourself has passed this passion of the school to your kids? Because it's not usual that almost all your sisters, all your daughters are going to be having a role in the school. How do you pass that passion of the family business over to your kids?
I think by giving them early exposure to the school. They've all studied, school, at least part of their education is with us, and then doing things like summer jobs when they're like in high school and in college. I mean, having them involved in that sense, and giving the opportunity to come back and work with us and stuff. Mercedes, my oldest, came in, to take over a science position. She wasn't very sure she wanted to come back to the school. She loved it, and then became a coordinator, and then became our middle school principal. So it's in that sense giving early exposure. Also, we have several things that we do. We have like a family retreat. We try to do it every year, every couple of years, where we go with all the extended, the family, the siblings, the spouses, and everything. And even though the spouses don't have a role in the school, but they do have that part of that family uh, reunion and stuff, and we share with them some neat things that are going on in the school, and it's both a part of a there's a bit of play involved. There's a bit of it's the of networking and a bit of sharing what's going on in the institution, so to speak, with them.
I'm talking. We're talking about a little bit of the values and the identity, but the global relevance of the school is hitting you with the AI.
Hmm.
The world has changed dramatically from traditional
Hmm.
classrooms to AI-driven learning. How do you ensure that the family values remain relevant in such a fast-changing education landscape?
It is a challenge, and I think the biggest challenge with the AI is how to teach our students and our faculty use it in a responsible and ethical way. I mean, it's a super important tool that they're going to need. It's curious because seeing recent research, 60% of educators are worried about students using AI for cheating, and yet on the hiring side, 60% of companies want to hire people with AI skills. And so there's sort of a funny disconnect there. But I mean, yeah, but we have that challenge of how do we prepare them for the use of AI and teach them those tools and teach them to use it in a responsible way because they're going to do it. The question is how to use it in such a way that teach them in such a way to use it responsibly and ethically and to their benefit, and not take shortcuts that in the long run are going to cheat them out of the education they need.
And keep on being relevant to the education system in
Yeah.
Mexico. That's a big challenge. You've been through
Yeah.
several transitions. Your parents to yourself and your sister, and then now is
Mhm.
coming the transition to the next generation. What universal lessons
Correct.
do you think any family enterprise anywhere in the world can take from your journey?
I think one of the things is not only treating the family as partners, as shareholders, but also treating I mean as employees, sorry, but also treating them as partners and sort of balancing out the part between the care of your other family members that are working with you as well as their professionalization. I think finding that balance is super important. One of the challenges has been, for example, working with my sister has been an incredible journey, and is that we haven't always seen eye to eye, and sometimes we've had, you know, our differences and everything, and but being able to really invest time together because for a while there, for example, we were drifting apart, and so we're doing things like, for example, we took a trip earlier this year. This was a recommendation of some good friends of mine within YPO. Is do something where you go once a year off for a weekend, or you go for a week for a trip, and you just have an opportunity to really touch base and share things and come up with common ideas. And so we had the opportunity to visit a bunch of schools in Spain last March, and by visiting together, we came back with common vision and new projects and everything. And it's made an incredible difference in how well we work together. So that's one of the keys that I think I would pass on.
Wow. And
And the other,
another thing, I'm
Mhm.
sorry to interrupt you.
No, no, go ahead.
What? No. What else? What else do you think the key learnings could be? So keeping the family together and having reunions and trips and sharing visions and having new
Mhm.
ideas. What about in terms of governance? What would be your key learnings and recommendation for other families?
Well, one of the things that we've done, I think, also very neatly is when we do like an annual, we just, for example, finished a strategic review of the school's goals, and we included key family, we included the family members, both generation, second generation, third generation, key directors, as well as our key board members, all together working together to come up with a shared vision. And so that was a neat way of sort of tying all the different parts together and having a common vision of where we want to go. So that was a neat way, and getting the third generation even more engaged and more excited about working in the school.
And going back a little bit into your personal life, what has been the most rewarding and the most humbling part of leading your family legacy?
I think the most rewarding thing has been to see the schools grow, to see what my parents' legacy is to have it really continue to grow, to expand into other campuses, and to see us having the opportunity to service to more families here in Mexico. I think that's been one of the most rewarding things, as well as seeing the growth of our not only family members but other key players within the school, and seeing how the schools become more professional, how people become more professional. I think that's been really very, very rewarding, Alex.
And if you had to summarize your leadership philosophy in one sentence, what would it be?
I think it would be building consensus, among the key players and stuff as to what we need to do and where we need to go. I mean, I think having a very strong collaborative environment is good. I mean, having good leadership and pointing in the direction, but trying to build a consensus to get people on board with what you're trying to do.
And what does it mean legacy to you at this point in your life?
I think the legacy would be the satisfaction of a job well done, of having served an incredible number of students, of kids, and having them come back and either come back as alums that want to work in the school or bring their children or even their grandchildren back to school with us. I think that's part of the neat legacy of seeing the impact that we can have and seeing the success of our graduates as they go out and they work and they their professional lives and the kind of achievements they're making.
One of the key elements that most family businesses face is succession,
Mm-hmm.
and your generation is reaching to that point of succession. What is your
Mm-hmm.
how are you tackling that in your family?
Correct. I think that's a key question, Alex. As I mentioned, we've been working closely with two of my daughters with the idea that they would continue down the road. I mean, I sort of foresee um, my what's it called? I sort of foresee my sister and myself staying on for maybe 10 more years and stuff, but
Okay.
eventually having my daughters take over. And there might be a transition of a leadership is to between us where we have maybe an outside person be their boss for a while and then eventually have them take over. But I see that getting more involved, taking more responsibility, I see that as a role as we gradually step back and pass hand the baton over to them.
What question should you every family in business ask themselves? But often they don't do it.
Well, I think succession is a big one, but I think also, yeah, I think it's how do you care for and how do you engage those younger generations? I think that is the key thing. Is how do you make them feel part of it as at an early age and get them excited, get them involved, and start giving them real decision making things and start small but have them grow up and be able to really have a role and an impact in your family business.
And take into consideration that you, as a family member, putting together a board, this is the second time you have an independent chairman of the board. Maybe that would be an interesting question. See, am I the right person to have the reins of the business at this point, or somebody outside of the family could do it better than I do, and then we only we're the head of ownership.
Correct. That's a very good question. It's something that one has to be asking: am I the right person for this institution at this time, or this company at this time in its history and stuff? And that is a good question. Not just stay on just automatically. I think that's a good question. It has to do with succession as well, and preparing the company for that transition, preparing yourself for moving out. I think that's key. And I do have sort of a 5-year plan in that sense to go, moving things over and maybe stepping back a bit and stuff. So I think that's going to be key, and not just hang on until the end and sort of have the Prince Charles syndrome where people feel that they're not going to inherit until they're in their 80s almost. But yeah.
That's a good analogy. So you're hitting 60 years to this year of the school, and your parents still
Correct.
alive. Uh,
Right.
what are you
Yeah, we're very
planning
fortunate.
for celebrating the 60 years of the school?
Well, we're very fortunate to have my parents, both of them alive. My dad is 96, my mom is 86, and they're both in pretty good health. We already started off with a big celebration, a big kickoff with a virtual celebration of all the campuses having people there. And my parents were very happy to be, very there. And we have a series of events throughout the year. We just had a big event at Six Flags, like a big community there. We're having a big legacy dinner in a few weeks, and we're having a special function at the Lion King. It's a play that's on here in Mexico. We're having it for our community. So there are a lot of key events there for celebrating, and it's a lot of it's community building. I mean, a lot of it's having people feel part of the institution, feel close to us, and I think that's key. And so being able to take an advantage of a milestone like the 60th anniversary, we're trying to use it as a real community builder.
And finally, Ken, I'm sure you've put together some family council. And
Mhm.
what are your plans in terms of philanthropy or giving back to the community as a family? Not only the education and the things you teach of to the students. What are that you're putting together in that sense?
Correct. I mean, we support several key initiatives there. I mean, I personally support. I'm on the board of a nonprofit that helps us to provide supplemental services to children from public schools, where we give them, basically extracurricular classes, tutoring, private tutoring, psychological services, and everything. I'm very active in helping that. We also, through the school, do a lot of support for organizations like Make-A-Wish. We do different fundraisers internally, but I mean, we're both involved as an institution as well as individual family members in all sorts of different activities like that.
So now that your parents are still alive and you're hitting 60 years of celebrating the school, what do you think they'd be most proud of it at this point?
The most what, sorry?
Proud of it, your parents,
The most proud of it?
what they built.
Right. I think they're proud of the legacy they've left, of the number of kids they've been able to serve, of having this institution grow to the size it is right now of about 1,800 students throughout the schools here. And I think it's that, and just the fact that they've been able to touch so many lives.
Great. Well, thank you. Some closing thoughts that you would like to share with the audience about your journey of 60 years in terms of educating Mexicans?
But yes, I think once again, if one is close to your customers and really has a feel for what they want and how you can serve them, and the customers are changing. I mean, right now we have Generation X parents and Generation Z kids in the school, and they're very different type of people than maybe us as baby boomers or older generations. No, it's having that ability to change and to adapt and to serve the new generations as they come up. I think that would be key to do, and that's in any area that you might be serving.
So I think you're in the right path, Ken, you and your family. Education is the key, the cornerstone of any society to build a great nation. And thank you, Ken, for taking the time for talking to me in Business in Family.
But thank you so much, Alex, and good luck to all these families. Once again, it's a good combination of sometimes of tough love and guidance to your younger generations and stuff, and they'll grow, and I'm sure they'll be excellent as the future family members for your companies.
Well, thank you, Ken, for having the time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much, Alex.
What a privilege to hear the story of Ken Peterson and his family 60 years journey in education. From a single vision in Mexico City to a network of schools that have touched thousands of lives, the Peterson family show us what it means to build a legacy with purpose. Here are the lessons that stayed with me. Governance brings clarity and peace. Independent voice at the table don't weaken family. Unity, they strengthen it. Succession is continuity, preparing the next generation to the ultimate act of love and trust. Values are the real legacy. In a changing world, technology can transform education, but only values give it meaning. Families first, always. Keeping the family aligned is a cornerstone of keeping the mission alive. As Ken said so beautifully, our parents didn't just build a school, they built a community of values. And that's the essence of every enduring family enterprise, turning vision into legacy and legacy into impact. I'm Alex Mendez, and this is Business in Families. If this episode inspires you, share it with others who believe that great families don't just build businesses, they build better futures.